Welcome to the Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday night segment of the Outer Realm. We're broadcasting live right here on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM from the beautiful city of New Orleans. We are fully sponsored by the amazing people over at Folgers Coffee. Outer Realm wouldn't be the same without them. It's kind of like we're joined together. Just think Folgers, think Outer Realm. Think Outer Realm, think Folgers. Kind of like that, right? Right.
I think so.
And a big thank you to Dr. Snick, Justin Snicker, the sonic surgeon, who is an award-winning composer of Halloween, horror, sci-fi, and dark wave electronic music. He is responsible for this amazing intro that you hear, and of course the outro when we can get to it, as long as we don't get too close to the end. You can find him pretty much anywhere that good music can be found, so check him out. Also, big thank you, Steve McGinnis, for the artwork, the logo for the Outer Realm. So thank you. Guys, to participate tonight, you know the drill. We are going to be on the usual chat rooms. Let's see. UFO, Gods and Extraterrestrials on YouTube, Outer Realm YouTube, UFO Paranormal YouTube, over to Facebook, Joe Montaldo, UFO Undercover, UFO Paranormal, United Public Radio, Canada's Most Haunted, The Outer Realm, and believe it or not, guys, you go check out, I think we've got this going on my personal Twitter as well. So yeah, we're trying that. We tried this before, but we're gonna try it now. We can't see the chat though for Twitter. Unfortunately, it just doesn't come through. At least we've never seen it come through. So just heads up on that. So Tamara, I missed you last night. Carol, hi, welcome back.
Hello.
Look at Tamara trying to take a night off the show, Bubbles. What the heck?
Who does she think she is?
I know. What the hell, Tamara? Anyway, tonight, crazy turn of events. We've got tis the season. Yep. The chat room paranormal discussion. It's okay, Tamara. We're just pulling your leg. Sorry you've been sick. Hope you're feeling better.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Poor Tamara. Here I'm being all hard on you. Just ribbing you. So, but yeah, paranormal, the paranormal discussion. The reason we do a lot of paranormal talk, and the reason we thought we would start with this anyway, because Bubbles and I go back and forth a lot on stuff. It's just kind of like, hey Jade, how are you, darling?
Thanks for sharing. Yeah, a few times a week we go back and forth on this topic.
Yeah, we go back and forth on a lot of stuff, and we thought we would just share some of that discussion. And we find that as we get into the autumn, obviously the energy changes. When we're still not out of summer yet, but the energy is changing already. I think the mindset is changing already. People, I love the autumn. It's one of my favorite times. It really is. I love when the leaves change colors. I'm not trying to get ahead of myself and lose what's left of the summer, but people get into the Halloween thing. We get into, the solstice and such. And it's always been a really important, an important time of year, even for our ancestors, and it goes back thousands of years. And what I mean by energy changing and mindset changing, I think people start to get into that nesting thing where, your kids are going back to school, you're spending more time together, summer's over. It's not like you have the luxury. Maybe you've used your vacation time. Maybe, it's like, okay, you've spent your money through the summer, you can't afford a vacation, and you just, whatever the case may be, things change. And I've noticed also this year, because I don't get on social media a whole lot. Hey, Ron, winter. What do you mean, winter,
Hi.
Ron? What do you mean?
Oh, maybe Ron likes outdoor sports
Maybe.
or ice fishing or yeah.
um,
I think it's pretty from the inside of my living room in front of my
yeah,
fireplace.
kind of like that. Temesa's
Yeah.
energy has been busy this year. Wonder how the energy is going to change. Well, what we're
Oh,
noticing already is that there's been for some people there's been a big loss of life. I've noticed this year just watching social media. I'm just seeing so many posts, and
yeah, and pets too.
so much so come December, we decided that we would try to keep it as lighthearted as possible and bring on people who could, you know, talk about things. I'll give you guys a small example without giving away a whole pile of names on this, but we're going to be talking about afterlife. We're going to be talking about spiritualism, obviously, like NDEs, pets, and the afterlife. Talking about pets in the afterlife, because a lot of people have
Mhm.
lost pets also,
Many.
lots of it this year. Of course, we're going to be talking about ancient Christmas traditions. That'll be fun. There's just a whole lot of interesting stuff coming on, but we wanted to keep it light for that reason. And when we notice that in the fall, we start getting busier.
Well, I was just reading Carol Ann's comment
There we go.
that fits with what you're saying.
Yeah, go ahead if you want to
Oh,
pop it up.
thank you. Hi, Carolyn. She says, good evening. I do believe the veil is already starting to thin. I am getting a lot of calls lately. Hi, Patricia.
That's just it. And yes,
Yeah, death is change, transitions. Yeah.
yes. And that's exactly right if you look at it that way. People often sit there and think to themselves, it's so final. Hold on, here we go.
Absolutely. Regina. Hi, Regina. Ron lives in Scotland, so he's used to the cold winter. You're
I
used to
know, I
cold
know he
all year
does.
round, actually.
Yeah.
You're on the Atlantic. Yeah. Regina says, my deceased pets are still hanging around my house. I see them all the time. It's so
Yes,
comforting. It
it
is.
is. It
It
is.
is. Yeah.
But those are for people who are aware. What about for those who aren't aware?
Yeah.
The fall is a time where people start to transition in many ways. If they suffer from depression or anxiety, that seems to be a little bit more rampant this time of year, and it goes all the way through past the holidays. It's a difficult time for people, and unfortunately, with that being said, sometimes that can attract entities that feed off that sort of thing. And I know it's a time where paranormal investigators start getting very busy as well. They start gearing up for, investigations for sure, but they start getting a lot more phone calls this time of year. For myself, I don't think I've been doing this a really long time. And even though it goes in cycles, I've always been pretty busy. I mean, to the point where I've had an 18 plus month waiting list at some points, and I just think that it's a mindset thing. I really believe that. Jade, go ahead.
Oh, my bonus coming up and the veil is lifting for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, Chris Bob, hey Chris says negative gets negative. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Laws of attraction. Tamara says, I have noticed a lot more people are starting to have experiences. These people who have never experienced anything. That is so true.
I would call that maybe an awakening.
Yeah.
New awareness. I say it all the time, just people who are starting to pay more attention, because I think things are becoming more prevalent. I think things are not just, looking on the internet, looking online. I really do think that maybe it is the veil that stays thinner longer. Maybe there is no veil anymore. I've heard some mediums say, you know what? We don't think that the veil is actually there anymore. So what does that mean? Does that mean that things come through and they stay that way? It's just the rest of us that need to wake up and see it. Ron? Oh,
Oh, Ron says I suffer from depression, but I love the long, dark days. I
yeah.
hate the long days of light in the summer. I'm with you, Ron. I do
Same.
too. So I understand that.
I could stay in a
Hi,
place that was dark
Adrian.
long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Regina says, yes, the paranormal activity always gets bad in my house around Thanksgiving through Valentine's Day every year.
There you go. Absolutely.
Thanksgiving like US or Thanksgiving Canadian? Because that would make a month difference.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because Thanksgiving in Canada is October. And no, we didn't copy you. That's a whole other segment. But
Yes. Now they see.
yeah.
Yeah. People had to slow down. Absolutely.
Yeah, she says, yes, I agree. I see it. People who thought I was crazy don't anymore. Caroline, I bet they're asking you for advice.
Ah,
Yeah. Patricia McDonald says we have to be really careful with investigations requested because of mental health issues. A really good interview is needed ahead of time for sure. Thank you for mentioning that.
I've always
Yeah.
had to ask the hard questions. It's not easy to ask the hard questions, and sometimes researchers will avoid asking them as to not insult people or make them feel bad. But you know what? You need to ask those questions because there is a very fine line with between mental health and the paranormal, but also mental health can attract the paranormal, unwanted attention.
Yeah.
Um, Regina's in the US.
Okay, so November. See, now for us, it's already starting to thin here, and it's September. It's just the first week. Chris says it's because we're becoming more aware that thins the veil. That's part of it, yeah. But the veil does thin
there.
whether we're aware or not.
Mm-hmm.
Ron says, hi, ladies. Have either of you lived in a haunted house?
Yes,
Presently,
absolutely.
Michelle.
I do live in a haunted house. Yes.
Yeah.
And it's quite pleasant, actually.
Yeah. I just have a haunted life.
Yeah, there we go.
Patricia McDonald asks, I also wonder if our generation, in quotations, are more open to experiences and not so closed and stick with religious practices.
It's really hard. I think it goes many ways. I think some people are leaning towards their religion from what I find, just because we work with so many people every week. And you have those who don't. They've reached out more just to spirituality in general. So they're not really governed by anything. They just see things, the way, I don't know. Do I say the way it is? You have a lot of people learning how to ground, a lot of people trying to get back to the earth. The best kind of grounding, of course, is earthing, is spending time. When I say hug a tree, I mean it. Trees actually exchange their energy with you. Trees communicate via their roots. They're very, very, there's a whole social system that people are not aware of. So I think people are getting back to nature. People are starting to feel better. They're getting away from anything that's regimented. But you have some people who are on the flip side of that, and they hang on to their faith. I always tell people, whatever it is that empowers you. If you're in a place in your life and you think that you're under some kind of spiritual or demonic attack, then you need to reach out to whatever empowers you and makes you feel like you're in control.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think people love the long, dark nights. I think a lot of these people that love it like I do are strong empaths as well. So there's less socializing. There's less people out on the road, right? Yeah. And
I
Adrian
agree.
says the winter makes me feel like I crawl back into the womb, waiting to be reborn. I love the quiet, long, dark
Back
nights.
down to nature. Yeah.
I'm one of those anomalies. I love every season.
Right.
I don't think I could ever live in a place where it's summer all year or it's winter all year, or that's just me.
Right.
I love the change, and I think with all of it comes good and bad. So Tamara says trees talk to each other via their root system. They hum, it's musical. Yeah.
I agree. It's the best place to go to be grounded. It really is. It's an amazing place to get yourself grounded. But we'll back up a little bit. So we notice And if we have any other paranormal investigators in chat, just chime out. We notice we're already getting busy. And it puts us, it's in a really difficult position because, aside from the fact that we're really freaking busy, we're just already really busy. But I just find that I think a lot of times we're dealing with, again, I have to say, mindset. It's, people are reaching out now to spiritual things to solve everyday problems as well. So if you're having a problem in your life, what makes you think why not go through the motions of trying to fix it before reaching out to, let's say, a talisman of sorts, thinking that, okay, well, somebody has put some energy together for you, and even though they've never met you, because I really do believe that if you're going to go to a practitioner, Jade, you could probably chime in on this also. If you go to a practitioner that knows you and you can meet face to face, or you've communicated with that person, they can put something together for you, cater to you to work with your energy. But if you're going to go to someplace online where you can buy all kinds of things, and somebody just says, hey, this is a haunted necklace, for example, or hey, this is going to help you, win the lottery, or this is going to help you in love, or this is going to help you, whatever the case may be, love potion number 9, here we go, but they've never met you. How do you know it's not going to work in an opposite manner? Do you put so much merit into this thing that maybe you open a door? Right? We have to talk about it because we've encountered it. Bubbles, what are your thoughts?
I think you have to be very, very careful. And I think with anything that's new to you, you should always do research on it, no matter what it is, as small as people spend more time researching how to decorate their home than they do how to take care of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really important to do that research and be aware and know how to ground is a big thing. I'm losing my train of thought. Sorry, because I just saw Ron's comment.
Yes, okay, where are we going with it?
Yeah, and then I'm gone. It's like verbal, yeah.
So, like what Chris Bob's saying, manifesting,
yeah, it is true that if you see an apparition that looks like a normal
this is a different,
human,
okay, we're gonna get
this is different, yeah.
Okay, so we're off our topic. All right, I'm trying to keep up. Bubbles is lost, problem. So we'll address this first.
I'm lost. We'll go back to that. Is it true that if you see an apparition that looks like a normal human, that is, for example, a person that you knew that passed on, are we seeing that person in spirit, or can demons pretend to be that person to deceive us? By the way, it's 2:25 a.m. here on Friday.
2:25. You're hanging in there.
Yeah.
Some of our guests can't even hang in there.
It's definitely possible to have a mimic. There's no reason why. People think that, oh, how could they know this unless they're my past loved one? They know everything before you do. Don't underestimate them, and don't play with them.
They do know everything. Yeah. And it's not so much that they shapeshift so much as it is that they can project what they want you to see, what they want you to hear. They can, alter, voices, mimic voices. As Joe would say, it could be a dimensional bleed through, because there is a belief that we live in simultaneous dimensions, and that every now and then you just get a glimpse of a dimensional bleed through, and they'll usually look a little bit different. They won't look the same. Maybe their clothes are too big. Maybe they're just behaving a little bit differently. Maybe their hair is a little bit different. They're, just things like that. So
even, especially the eyes.
The eyes, absolutely.
The eyes, and you have to, the whole thing is, when something appears to you as a past loved one and they're mimicking and there's something that's off, the reason why we don't catch it is because we want so badly for it to be them. So unless
Absolutely.
you know, you're an investigator, you work in the field, or you're a researcher, you don't stop to think, wait a minute, is it? With the first reaction is, oh my God, mom, or oh my gosh, you know, your husband, your spouse, your partner, whatever. So yeah, and Chris Bob says they know your thoughts and memories. That's how they can, you know, that's how they can get you. Just like it's the same kind of thing. And Tamara says, always listen to your gut. Absolutely. But sometimes your heart overrules your gut. And it's like that. We've talked about this before with children as, you know, imaginary friends. Well,
yeah, exactly.
They can tell you stories. They can say, oh, I know grandma, or I know grandpa, to these little kids, or, and then it becomes, and it escalates, and that's a whole other thing too. And then it becomes a threat, and it becomes.
Well, they go after the weakest link, and that's usually the children, because they're easy to manipulate. They're easy to scare. They're easier to bully. Or they'll go after somebody maybe who's got severe addiction issues, severe mental health issues, anxiety, depression, all kinds of different things. Anything that makes you vulnerable makes you an easy target.
It's easier to get in. Well, some people, when they're really down, are more willing to, or if like, I know I've heard this story before. Someone was a gambler, and all of a sudden something started coming in, and there was an attachment. Well, yeah, because there was promises of wealth, and you know, you do this and I'll do that. There's always a deal. And let me tell you something, you're never on the winning end of it.
No. And all they're going to do is come in and divide up your house, you know, keep you all fighting, keep those who love you and can help you away. You know, that's what they feed off of. Negative things cannot live in a positive space. So keep your space positive, your vibrations high, your frequencies high, and you have no problem, because they can't feed off of it. Therefore, they starve, right?
Hey, Jimmy.
Okay, so are we going to get this comment?
Yeah, Patricia McDonald says, I think they are looking for a quick fix and answers.
Back to the other thing. Yeah.
Yes. We've been getting emails daily and weeding through to see which ones are just wanting spooky for the Halloween season. Great. We've had several who also want to buy equipment and investigate their homes alone. Nope.
That's a bad
or
idea.
To continue the investigation on their own to give them extra hope.
That you don't have, it's like anything. You don't have experience. Why would you even go in and try? Anybody can take a camera, a voice recorder, a piece of equipment, go in and emulate what they see on television. That's easy.
Yeah.
But you know how many people can clear a house? You know how many people can investigate? There are people who can, anybody can investigate. Doesn't mean they're doing it properly. A lot of people can clear houses. There's some people, you know, over the many years, I've had a lot of researchers, and I commend them, who have come to me, you know, and said, I like to research ghosts. I know nothing about malevolent things. Whereas I've spent 2 decades, it's been about malevolent things, because I experienced it in my life. I experienced it. I had to teach myself how to fix it, because there was nobody where I was that I could call and say, hey, you know, I had to learn. And it's the same techniques that I teach. But when a researcher could say, I really don't know anything about this, even today, we get calls all the time, or emails saying, here, can you help these people? Can you help these people? They're clients or people we're working with. We don't have the experience to do it. There's a lot more to it than just going in there and saying, here, we got these recordings. Hey, we've got these photos. Okay, now what do you do with them? You can validate. Yep, there's something here. Now what do you do?
Now what exactly?
How many people have made invitations because they go in there and hold out that recorder and say, you're initiating contact. So essentially you're inviting contact in a space that you don't live in, and you leave, and then you have people sitting there going, they're left behind, and an invite's been made. It's that simple. We were talking that with Barry Fitzgerald the other night, remember? And and I'm just like, people don't understand. A ghost box, a pendulum, a spirit board, a Ouija board, any app, any little app, anything. If you are initiating communication, you are essentially inviting contact.
Yeah. I have a problem with those live contacts they're doing on TikTok. I'm just going to throw that out there. It's not fair to people who are just scrolling up to lure them in like that. And when it's an open line and it's live and it's, it's, for me, that is so dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And just, you have to be very careful about what you're engaging with, even as a viewer. Yes, Jimmy. One of our favorite ghost hunters.
There we go.
Well, more than a ghost hunter, researcher, investigator.
And he'll be one of the first to tell you, because when you're seasoned, you have to be careful, because you are essentially dealing with somebody else's life. You have to take that seriously.
I like the point that you made, which is very important. Now what? Okay, you're communicating, now what? I don't think anyone thinks that through. They see television and they think, oh, I want to go, I want to do this. I want to investigate. And oftentimes people are investigating for the wrong reason, not necessarily for helping others or helping these families, but sometimes and sadly often for collection of evidence, which is completely wrong and a whole other
it helps to have it, for sure. Some people think they're going crazy. I'm all for it, but you should have a plan. If you find this evidence and go, oh, geez, there's definitely something here. Now what do we do? Because you have a family here looking to you, saying, help us. That's why you're here. You're not just here to get the evidence. You're here to help this family. And there's got to be something,
you better know what you're doing.
How many times have you heard me say, how many people have gone in and say, they get asked to come into a home. It's like, oh, no problem. You're lucky we're here. We're going to help you. But they don't help them.
Oh, Tamara,
we should be looking I look at people and say, thank you for entrusting yourself and your family to me. Thank you. I've always been humble like that. I'm like, thank you. I will do my best for you. I will not, be careless with your space or your family.
No. I've been in homes with Michelle, and I can tell you that's very, very true. And I didn't speak to the family unless I had her permission. I didn't, I was only there as an ear. I never said anything. But
that was the first time you came out with us.
Yeah.
But no, I'm always for obviously communicating with the family. It's just about making the family first. That's all. Make the family first. Just make them feel like I'll take as much time as they need to talk to me.
Yep.
I have a team that does everything else.
Someone that listens and believes.
Yeah.
Them. Tamara says they do not see the after effects of investigations that even seasoned investigators deal with. You know what, Tamara? I agree with you, but we've also seen seasoned investigators not know how to deal with things.
Sadly.
Yeah. Nicole Antoinette she is a host on the United Paranormal Network, which her show is called Guiding Echoes. She says, the problem I have with spiritualists is that they don't believe in dark entities or ghosts. I was kicked out of a mediumship group for simply believing dark energies exist. There are people who don't believe, and I think that mindset has a lot to do with how you respond. Carolyn Castro says, I never just leave. I find out if the spirit needs help or have a message for someone. Absolutely. They always need help. My opinion, there's a reason why they're there. They're not supposed to be. Chris Bob says, I don't communicate when I cleanse.
Yeah, I can. How are you? No, I agree. I think it's just a matter of having due diligence. There are people out there who are amazing at what they do, and they could do it with their eyes closed. But those are also seasoned people who know, how to properly investigate, how to deal with the people. And if they themselves, can't solve the problem, they know who can. There's a network in place for people like that. and never be afraid to ask for references. But again, it's so hard with references. I've had people say to me, well, they're just going to turn around and tell me, give me good references. They're never going to, to give me any bad references. I'm like, no, but then you can go ahead and just research them then.
It's something we're learning every single day. Nobody has all the answers, just some people have more experience. So to say that you know everything is definitely a fool who knows nothing.
Good point.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. You know what? I just think we're getting into an age now. It's not like back in the day. It's something that families didn't even talk about on an average. It's just like, oh no, the people are going to think we're crazy. Neighbors are going to think we're crazy. Keep this quiet. I mean, I've worked with people who are like, we're not showing up with, logos on your shirt or something on your car, are you? Because I don't want anybody to know. And because he was a really prominent individual, in the city of Toronto. And it was just, it was pretty, like, he didn't want anybody knowing. So I'm like, no, man, I'm just showing up in a car. That's it. But now I think there's a lot of avenues that people can, there's a lot of avenues that they can explore. They can do their research and see if you're, any good at what you can do. They can Google and see if you're just full of malarkey, if you got bad reviews. You can Google the information yourself. So what kind of, because a lot of teams, some teams will specialize in different things, and some not so much. They'll just sort of dabble in everything. But people can do their own homework now.
Yeah. I'm a firm believer in not leaving anyone behind in that.
I'm the same.
Location. I know that's why we work well together.
Yeah.
I've never been. Yeah, I think it's so important. You have to remember, this isn't where we're supposed to be when all of this ends. And anyone who researches or studies or believes in anything knows that. So why would you leave something? I have someone that I did a show with, and I admire him very, very much, but we don't agree on the clearings. We don't agree on how we clear things. He's not a believer in clearing everything in a house, and I am.
Right.
I wouldn't leave anybody behind or anything behind. We wouldn't leave anyone behind if we knew they were there. And he comes from a different point of view, and he's older than I am too. I think sometimes it's the country they come from and the way they're brought up and how they work and their
thing.
Yeah, it could be. And he doesn't believe in moving the human spirits on necessarily, because they like to stay around with the families. Well, then we have to ask the question, are they grounded or are they ascended?
I think
that maybe he doesn't know.
If you've moved on, you don't have to be grounded to stay. Like, you don't have to be stuck. You can move on and come back as much as you want. Contrary to popular belief, you really can. And that theory's been tested many times with many of my peers. So you have that ability. I've seen spirits go on their own, because it's like you can come back, and they do almost like immediately in some cases. I'm like, there you go. You don't have to be stuck with all your earthly hangups for that. But what do you do when you come across a child who just might be looking for their parents, and they're just in two different places?
Yeah.
I couldn't leave a child behind. I wouldn't want anybody leaving one of my children behind if they were grounded.
Who are we kidding? You'd be going back, making sure they were crossed over.
I would, yeah. But I know how to do that. A lot of people have no idea.
No, my whole thing with this is, I don't believe that everyone can see if they're grounded or not, or have been taught how to see what grounded and ascended looks like. Because for all of us, all of us who work as mediums have our own language. We have our own psychic language. We have our own symbols. Please don't pick up a book and think that these psychic symbols are real. They're not. They're being suggestive when they write these books. It's your own perception and understanding. And when you learn to trust that, like for me, I'll say to Michelle, when we're working, for me, I'm seeing this is what it means. But what I'm seeing, red roses, which it's not often, I don't get those kind of typical rose things, but if I'm seeing a flower and you're seeing a flower, it can mean two different things. A flower to me might mean death, and a flower to you might mean new life or moving on or a loved one. It's not like that for me. But then again, I don't do psychic readings, so it's a little bit different.
Right.
But so I think that we need to, when we're taking on people who are looking at us as mentors, we need to teach that. I think it's important to say that, to teach. Let's look and see. Hi, Wayne. Let's look and see if this person is grounded or ascended. Let's see. Because if you're already looking to see if they need help, that means you're looking to see if they're grounded. So you're already taking that step.
Then you just have to ask yourself, do you know how, or at least know someone who knows how?
Yeah. And for you to ask, do you need help? Is it a gut feeling? Because then maybe you need to trust it that, they're grounded.
See, some people don't believe that you should move spirits on. They believe it's maybe that person's karma to be there.
That's what this gentleman feels.
It's a really fine line.
It is. And I think it's a culture thing too, because he's
most
Irish.
Spirits, though, on an average, if they're really malevolent, they're thinking, I'm going to take my chances and stay here. Because a lot of people, let's face it, a lot of people, especially if you grow up with a fear of God into you with religion, they're thinking, well, I'm going to hell, man. I'm going to take my chances to stay right here because it's better than the alternative. You have to work around the different belief systems. And, for someone exactly, a suicide, for example, well, Catholicism teaches you only God has the right to take your life. You're going to go to hell, or you're going to be stuck in purgatory. They're
Christianity.
I'm not moving.
Yeah.
But, when you come in and you realize God is a living God, this is not going to be a problem. This is just religion as an institution that teaches this.
Well, they contradict themselves in the Bible too. God forgives all, God loves all, and then nope, you're not going
it's like,
to heaven.
No. But once you make a spirit realize that, they want to move on. Maybe it's a matter of a choice thing. I don't know.
And if it's a traumatic death, they're usually stuck as well. Children are
sometimes
often
they don't even
stuck.
realize they're dead. At least ask.
Children are often stuck because there's fear.
Exactly.
So,
exactly. Okay, we're going to start coming through some of the comments.
Natalie says there are no consequences for their actions. Isn't there any way to govern this group of people, like having a worldwide network of paranormal investigators? Yet unity is not a thing in the paranormal field.
It is to a degree, but I think there's just a lot of, you have to understand, there's just a lot of people who have their own techniques, their own belief systems. You're working with an array of different belief systems, and you have to work with the belief system of the people you're assisting. If you have someone who's a diehard Catholic, for example, and you can prove that they're under full-on demonic attack, you show that proof, then they're going to want an exorcist to come in. There's a lot of different organizations out there who claim, we're exorcists, we can do this. It's like, okay. Again, I believe a lot of it is intention. If you go in there, say what you mean what you say, follow through, you know what you're doing, they could possibly clear the place, no problem. We've actually cleared a lot of places that have had exorcists that just didn't take. I think sometimes it does take more than one or two shots at it. I think sometimes you have to be really diligent with it. You have people who do what's called deliverances, and I worked with somebody with a group who did deliverances. They knocked off 2 houses without stepping foot into the other one, and that place was clear for 2 years, but it's still amped up, and I had to go in 2 years later to clear it. So nothing is foolproof. These things are never guaranteed. Okay, next.
No, because they often go, if it's demonic, often what happens when something's removed is it stays dormant. Tamara, we should not live with the dead. They need to move to their next step. Yes.
I think they have that right.
Ron wants to know.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, just are you discussing the paranormal in general or a certain subject each time you're online?
Well, when we just do Amelia and myself, when we have our chat room discussions, we handle all kinds of topics. We'll bounce around with this. So feel free if you have questions to chime in the chat, and we'll do our very best to address that for you. When we have guests on, obviously it's geared to, why the guest is here.
Yeah, Tamara's like me.
There we go.
Adrian says, I have a feeling once this earthly mess is cleaned up that the upcoming generation will be taught about spiritual matters in school.
Already
I have
happening.
to agree. Hi,
I think it's
Maria.
happening. I think it's
I
happening.
have to believe it. Tamara says, for me, grounded are in black and white, while spirits who have ascended are visiting. They are in color. I am the same way. Identical. Yep. Wayne says, possibly this is regarding moving spirits on.
Yes.
Possibly, but if I found a child in a burning house, I would do my best to get that child out of there. It's the same for the paranormal. If I knew there was a spirit stuck and in need, I would help. Absolutely. Great way of putting it.
Absolutely.
Patricia McDonald says, I was on a rotten team that kept going back and reinvestigating a home that had a child spirit stuck there waiting for his mom to come and get him. Oh, no. It was like they wanted to go to a zoo and ask him to perform. I quit. That's not okay. No, I'm glad you did that.
No, exactly.
Yeah. And now this is, isn't there protocols for these things?
I think there are to a degree. If you're in a public location, for example, some of them are a little bit more like, no, you have, spirit, like the spirits in this location will be treated with respect. And, they have their own protocols in place. All I can say is if you have to bring someone in, just make sure you look for someone who's got some ethics and integrity, because there are some really good researchers out there. And of course, because of television and things of that nature, there are some who emulate. I just think that everybody has to start somewhere, and not everybody has a group in their area. So they'll start a group, and just, I'm a firm believer in research and knowledge. Learn something new every day. If you don't know what you're doing, learn. Just learn. It's not
seek out a
hard.
mentor. Yeah.
Learn. Yeah. I mean, you're not doing yourself a favor. You're certainly not doing anybody else a favor, but there are researches, like a lot of public places where you can go to and just investigate public locations. It's a great place to learn how to properly use equipment, how to properly deal with spirits, how to gather evidence, things of that nature. Here we go.
Ron Watson asks, what is your,
Oh
boy. What is your opinion on paranormal TV series? Well, Michelle's been on a few, such as Ghost Adventures, Destination Fear, Kindred Spirits, etc.
Investigative shows, yeah.
They claim to have banished a spirit from someone's home. Has that spirit really been banished? That's a really wide open.
It is, because there's no way of knowing for sure when you do a clearing if it's actually effective or not. Sometimes you have to go back more than once. It depends. Are you dealing? Human spirits are quite easy to move on if they want to go. But if you're dealing with something that's not human, then maybe they're mimicking a human. It's very, very difficult. It really is. And it's, again, I've seen certain shows where they've come back. Because I've done interviews where I've really griped about this sort of thing. And then a very popular show came back and they did a mini 6-part series, and where they were asking people, did we help you? And people were saying, no, actually, you didn't help me. You made it worse. And he's like, we made it worse. Sometimes I think they generally didn't have any idea. It was like, okay, well, we want to help you fix this. And they did. They would refer people, bring people in to try to resolve it. And I think that's what needs to happen, because when you're dealing with ratings, you don't always have, you very rarely have creative control, unless you've been on a show like Ghost Adventures that's been there for so long, so many seasons. Zach he's a brilliant, he's a brilliant businessman.
He goes back.
He really is. And he is seasoned. Can he be a little careless and wiry at times? For sure. Some people, they just take those chances. But again, I believe, go ahead, take the chances, but there's just a time and place for taking those chances.
Yeah.
I know you need to
he's
make the
grown a
ratings
lot.
good. You need the next season, but think about who's involved. They do a lot of public locations, so it's
It's
it's a different thing altogether.
Yeah.
But when you're dealing with people in their private homes, in their space that they have to stay in, you just have to go and take a little bit of an extra mile with
I need a
that.
tissue.
Hey,
Yeah.
Catherine.
I said hi to Kat. I need a tissue and I'm stuck here.
Uh-oh. Do you want to just
Allergies.
pop
No,
off your
I'm
camera
okay.
for a second?
No,
Okay.
I'm okay. Just my
Okay.
drawer's stuck. Nicole says that reminds me of the little girl in Mineral Springs in Illinois, assuming it really is a little girl, but it irritates me that no one has crossed her over. But she's an attraction getter.
Oh, it happens a lot. It happens a lot. But
yeah, allergies.
It comes back to the
I know, Maria.
circus has.
I'm just not going to call any of these shows out because I have respect for them and I know what it's like to be on camera and directed.
Yeah, we
so
can't do that.
I'm not going to say
It could get us in a lot of trouble.
It could get us in a lot of trouble, but if you've done television, you know that not everything that comes out is edited and put together the way you think it was. So we'll just leave it there.
It's viable. She's viable.
I think she's right. She's right.
Yeah.
And I think that all of these shows that were mentioned all have good and bad episodes. It's just part of, unfortunately, creative control.
Yeah.
No.
We can't publicly comment on it, unfortunately. We have like 3 million people who listen to us. We can't
and
do
not
that.
as a whole. It's not fair to any television show to comment as a whole. If you're picking out an episode or a case, but as a whole, no. And we're not there, so we don't know what happened.
Exactly.
You have to yourself see how you feel when you're watching it and understand that most of these paranormal shows are entertainment. And don't forget that.
The key.
Yeah.
That's the
Don't
key.
forget that. It's even in the disclaimer. So
you have to be no creative control. That means I've done a lot of television and I give a lot of viable answers, but there's only one they go after, and it's the one that has the biggest ratings. Everything else ends up on the cutting room floor, and I have no say in that. That's the way it goes. People message me on their own and say, what do you mean by that? Or, I found this very interesting. That's my opportunity, like tonight, to elaborate on how it really is.
Yeah. I wasn't referring to Nicole. Sorry.
Yeah, no.
Just answer back. I wasn't referring to her.
Don't go looking for a whole lot of honest answers on mainstream television. You're just not going to find it. You're going to have good entertainment. You're going to have good stories. You're going to have some people who generally can help. I've seen shows like that, but you're going to have shows that are basically a lot of fanfare. Wayne.
If you were watching real time, you'd be bored and turning that off because it takes days sometimes to get anything on camera or on an EVP. That stuff that you see is tons of. Picture this, the film. Remember the era of film. Tons of clips on the floor and only the best edited together. It's not necessarily what these investigators are doing. No. So I think sometimes it can be unfair.
That's right.
So Wayne says it's good for ratings. They have an hour of airtime, so they need to make it as entertaining for the viewer as possible. So whether it's real, stage, etc., it's anyone's guess. Ratings bottom line. Absolutely. And there's hours upon hours of film that have to fit 43 minutes. So they're only picking out the best. So if you want to be critical of the editor and the direction and the production, not the people in the show. Tamara says, not all hauntings are ghosts, demons. Sometimes it's the people's energy causing activity. Yes.
And aliens. Favorite. Yes. Elementals. Yes.
It's our favorite.
Yes. Thank you. I don't know how many times
Tamara,
we say it.
We missed you. Adrian says, I cleared a basement recently. Their dog let me know it worked. For the first time, the dog went down the stairs. All clear, stayed clear. Excellent.
There are actually researchers who use dogs in their research. I'm on the fence with it because if you're in a really malevolent place, things can attach to animals as much as they can to people because they can't speak for themselves. So most of the time you never even know it's happening and the animal goes through like terrible things. But I'm always the first to tell somebody when they say, well, I might be haunted. I said, do you have a pet? Follow their lead. They will lead you. Like
Yes.
they're so hypersensitive. They can see them. They're like they're natural little psychics.
They'll see them before you.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Even as a medium, my dog will see things before. Now,
Exactly.
Nicole, I know Nicole said I
Yeah.
wasn't referring to show. I went to
No,
Mineral
no.
Springs and
Yeah.
heard about it from the paranormal. I know I
No,
wasn't
that's
referring
okay.
to you.
No. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, Ron Watson asked, when or how did your interest in paranormal begin? Was it that you saw a ghost or spirit? Am I asking too many questions? Nope, never too many questions.
That's what it's all about, Ron. That's it.
Never. Yes.
For me, I had a very malevolent entity in the house, and I also had extraterrestrial experiences. And I was also projecting because I had all this crap going on around me. So I'm sure I was just like, what? So I'm sure it's a blend of everything. But just being able to see things from a very young age, and thankfully had a family, especially a mother that didn't discourage it because she came from a line of mediums. So when I saw something, I wasn't made to feel foolish because sometimes parents will do that. Don't be silly. There's no such thing as imaginary friends. Well, maybe imaginary friend is a loved one who's just sitting here visiting. Or maybe it's something that's more malevolent that is pretending to be a child, embedding itself to attach itself to your child for the rest of his life or her life. Because I can't tell you how many people we've worked with, and that's the exact situation. They did not feel like they could go to their parent. As parents are supposed to protect our children no matter what.
Oh my gosh.
You have to try. You have to at least hear them.
Yeah.
Don't make them stop talking. Now, children can be the teller of tall tales, but children are also brutally honest, and they'll tell you. If they're scared, they're going to tell you. If you put it out there that you can say anything. I can say anything to my mom. My dad was kind of like, I don't want to talk about that. Nope.
It was a different time. It was a different time. Yeah.
But yet, as I got older, my father would tell me all these crazy experiences he had. I'm like, you would never talk about it. He goes, nope. It's left it at that. My mom was always like, what did this person look like? Okay. And then she would just like pull out a photo album.
My dad was like that.
Right?
I had the opposite.
You see this person here?
Yeah.
Don't discourage them because it could be a lot of trouble. That's how it happened for me. It just went on and on into my life. So I cleared myself, and it's the same stuff that I spent close to 2 decades doing, and bringing that knowledge and expanding on it and realizing there's a strong connection between extraterrestrials and the paranormal, even, cryptids and extraterrestrials and dimensions. And like oh boy, we could have a separate show on literally everything. And in the end, you go, oh my God, it's all connected.
Ron, you could go into our archives. We actually interviewed each other. Probably answer a million questions for you.
It's true.
And Joe interviewed us. So yeah. Natalie Clausen says, I recently came across an interview on the podcast Glitch Bottle with Irving Finkel, who wrote The First Ghosts hardcover September 19, 2019. I found him amazing. Awesome
excellent.
sauce.
Excellent. I love that.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Oh, Adrian, you were lucky. Michelle, I didn't have help and had to fend for myself. Terror times 10 for many years. Not anymore, though. No fear. No, I'm glad you got past that, but Michelle didn't have help. She did it on her own.
I could myself, yeah. I was lucky as a child that I could speak with my mother. And it was strange because when things started getting more malevolent, my mother actually would go. I remember her like just going downstairs at one point and just like, being Mother Bear, and I'll mess you up. And that's it. I was like, wow. But I had that support at least, but she really didn't know any more than I knew how to get rid of this. This came from going to the library because there was no internet. Yes, I'm aging myself. And there wasn't a lot of books on the paranormal. I did find The Demonologist with Ed Lorraine Warren to be very instrumental. And
that was a great book.
It was. And it really helped me with having an understanding of the different levels and how it worked. But I ended up reading books on witchcraft, believe it or not, so I could learn how to cleanse and ground and clear. You see, like, so even back then, I knew I had to work with the energy in the space. It was really, really strange how that was, but I learned.
Pagans understood that, though.
The fact that I understood it, to me, was just like, you know. But I also learned early on about mindset.
Yeah, pagans really had it. They really understood all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, at this point, it's just a matter of if you know, there's all this talk about manifesting your own reality, which comes down to the power of the mind, your mindset, and your ability to control things enough to manifest your reality. If you're a very negative person, you're going to attract negative things, negative people, negative situations. If you project out positive energy, you're going to attract positive. You really are what you attract. You are, for sure. And I had this conversation with someone today. It's like, raise your vibrations. Honestly, sing, dance, laugh, watch a comedy, anything to just keep raising everything up, so you're just creating positive vibrations. It's, starve them out. Seriously, it's a lot harder for them to attach.
Acknowledgement is
control. Not a lot of this stuff starts with some kind of an invitation.
Communication. Acknowledgement is empowerment. Be careful.
Exactly. I say it all the friggin' time. But at the end of that, if you are going to go out, and we're coming up to spooky month, and people are going to gear up and go on ghost walks, go to haunted locations. They're going to want to investigate places. You want to be a part of it all, because it just, you think about Halloween, and on an average, it just screams this stuff, and you want to be a part of it.
Season.
Yeah, get yourself into cemeteries. Because people think cemeteries are always haunted. They're not always haunted.
No.
But they want to be in the thralls of it. They want to go spend the night in haunted locations. They want to just,
be careful what you look for.
I used to do ghost walks for years and years and years. I'd have haunted events, where people would just flock, and I would just teach what I know, and we had so much fun. But not everywhere you go will teach you how to protect yourself, how to use the equipment, how to take a photo, how to differentiate whether you're getting a, like something fake, and teach how you take your photos to see if you actually captured something, or how to do a proper voice recording. Now, these are public places too, right? So it's you're not in somebody's private space. Like, you can just have a lot of fun with it. But wow, don't go on something like this if you're a negative Nelly, because you're really going to probably catch something's attention, depending on where you are. Now, there may be a human spirit, may be totally benign. Maybe you're that type of person that reminds this spirit individual of someone they knew in life. And I've seen that happen so many times. But usually those people are grounded to an area for a reason, and they will return. But what if it's something not?
I'm sorry, I'm laughing at Kat's comment, and I follow her on Instagram and Facebook, so I do know you're Halloweening all year long, because I see your posts. I love them. Yes. I'm always stealing them. Mm-hmm. If I could just say one more thing regarding Bradley, the children. And in paranormal and criminally, my experience with them has been, listen. Because if they're smart and they know you're not listening or not believing them, always believe them, always investigate it, say, yes, I hear you. Mm-hmm. Because one day something, God forbid, is going to happen and you're not listening, and you won't catch it in time. So if your child is constantly coming to you talking about something, please just sit and listen to them. Children are very simple. And I always say, in the sense with responses, when I used to mentor children with gifts, and I was very selective who I worked with, and I always started with the parents. But I can tell you from my experience that kids, it's like sex ed in school. They don't need a 3-paragraph answer. They just need an answer. So it's not important to elaborate. You have to look at their age level, their maturity, and their comprehension, and decide from there how much you give them.
Right.
And make sure you research all of that, or talk to someone who is in the field if you're not, because people who are mediums are not always looking to other mediums to assist them with their own children, because they've already had the experience. So I always say to them, just make sure you're always letting them know that they are heard, regardless of what they're saying. You know your child. You know if it's a tall tale. And not everything that sounds ridiculous is fake.
That's right.
Especially in the paranormal.
It's a crazy world we live in, people. It really is.
Yeah.
And this is a prime example I want to touch on. Amelia, if you can.
Sure. Thank you. Nicole says, when you're bright and positive, you attract everyone, good and bad, narcissists and empaths. So you have to be careful, because the darkness can get to you through a person pretending to be light.
So this is,
very good point.
This is dealing with, again, darkness making its way through the living. And we've just encountered this recently in a situation that we've worked on, how we've bridged together locations. They will find a way in.
Absolutely.
They will find a way in. If they want you bad enough, they will. But I truly believe, again, maybe they're affecting that person who's come into your life, who's all that heaviness. Remove the attachment, solve the problem for the most part. I have been witness to that so many times. I have seen people completely do a full-on, totally different, like, what just happened to me, and the family's going, is this the same person? Yeah, it can happen that fast.
It's going to bring out the worst in you. It's dark. It's negative.
Exactly.
It's going to bring out the negatives in you. It's going to amplify everything you're going through. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, being empathic, you can pick it up.
There was, sadly, there was this program that was on years ago, and I'm not going to mention the name, but it was a team in a university. That's all I'm going to say.
Anyways, know those people.
Yes. And they had this this case once where this woman, and it was clearly malevolent in her home, and it was coming as well in another state. So they had to go from one side to the other, and this thing was actually after an investigator, not the families. Be careful. Beware.
Yeah.
The entity was after one of the investigators. You heard me. And it's recorded, it's filmed. I watched it. There was a very, very popular and celebrity psychic who worked with him. And let me tell you something that opened my eyes like no tomorrow.
No one is off limits.
No, it had nothing to do with the two families, except they could play with him by having him go from one side to the other to one side to the other.
But they drew them in.
Yep.
Right. As investigators. They just,
it was close like to home. Yeah.
Right. There you go.
That's something that you don't think of. You're thinking, oh, I'm helping this family, but you don't realize that you're the one who is the victim.
That's right.
So had to get that one out for some reason.
Absolutely. Keep on going.
That's it. Tamara says, I don't think people know that most people born sensitive have to learn. Not everyone is born this way. And childhood learning curve, not everyone have auras around them. So it's not the same for everyone. We are like fingerprints. I love that you said that, because Someone I know always says that they can see auras, and I can tell you they're not. It's just only because I can see, so I know that it's not happening. But and don't believe that you can trick your eyes. It has nothing to do with your physical eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So when people say, oh, you can like do this with your eyes or do that with your eyes, you'll see these videos and you'll see this aura. What you're going to see is cross-eyed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not one who professes to understand the aura or to be able to see it in everyone. And now I'm glad that you said that, Tamara, because maybe some of these people that I've looked at don't. When I'm meant to have it, I will be given it, but I don't look for it.
Exactly.
So that's okay too. Just, for anyone out there who's going through that, that's okay. Adrian says, teach your children well. They can understand all of this. They produce so much energy. Keep it positive. That's so important, right? That's why I said, listen to them.
Exactly.
Because that creates negative. And you know what that creates? That creates a dependency on the malevolent spirit that is in their life if they do have that.
100%.
Because that malevolent entity will be your child's friend. They will be that person.
They'll be what you're not.
Exactly.
Right. They'll be what you're not. They'll be there when you're not too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Jareen says, thank you for sharing your knowledge, Michelle. Any future lectures, teaching classes on the paranormal?
No, I even put a lot of film on hold aside from a documentary we're working on. I'm consulting on the potential of a new paranormal show, not my show. I'm just put that out there. Just I've been asked to do a little bit of recognizance, and I am. I've actually put it out there a couple of times. I'll probably mention it again at the end of the show since it popped into my brain. There's some stuff I could teach. I've been asked to write a book. I've been asked to teach a lot, actually. I always say I would never teach everything that I know because I have stuff that goes back a lot of years. And I believe that some things shouldn't be taught because not everybody's responsible enough to be given certain knowledge. It took me even, you're growing up and you've got amazing knowledge. You're like, I'll kick your ass and I'll do it. And I know how. You realize as you get older, just such an a-hole for thinking that because the karmic points could have been
learning curve.
Mental. Exactly.
Yeah, it's a learning curve. Yeah.
It's this power thing. It's this ego thing. And you lose that ego as you get older. And there's also things that it's like, I would never arm somebody on how to destroy me, for example. That would be idiotic on my part. But there's some things that I try to teach every single time I do a show or every single time we're here. We bring on guests that teach us as much as it teaches all of you. You never stop learning. I'm still learning. I make it a point of learning something every single day. And it's always fascinating to me when I see synchronicities and when I can connect the dots and go, it's so much bigger than I thought. That to me is the most amazing thing. I have a lot of people who email me, not on social media, please, but anybody who emails, I'm always happy to answer questions. As far as lectures go, I don't do the cons at all. I've done a couple as favors to friends who have put them on, and I will then speak. But teaching classes, no, nothing of that sort. But thank you for the lovely compliment. My knowledge
is beautiful.
Free for the taking. I love you all. Happy to share what I know. And Gray Zone Uncensored. There you'll see some of my knowledge right off the bat. That's right now it's every couple of Saturdays, and I'll teach you loads of stuff.
Wayne says, I suffered a great deal through my life and I never knew why. It wasn't until I met Michelle. She explained it to me. She told me that I was a light person and it was because of that the darkness hated me. Absolutely.
And this is one of those examples where you're just a good person. You have so much light in you and people look at you and resent you. They don't even know why. So how much darkness is in that person? Or
so funny because people who hate you. Sorry.
No,
No,
yeah,
no,
people
you
can
go
look at
ahead.
you and just don't like you because you're a good person. Those are the people that get bullied. Those are the people that get taken advantage of. Those are the people who really have a rough go of it. And people don't like them, just they don't even know why.
Yeah. And people who hate you will watch you the closest and the mostest. Just saying.
Oh, leave that right there.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be like, I know that.
Tamara says most auras sight is seeing energy, and in adulthood it is not something that happens all the time, but kids draw colors around people. It is the energy. That's such a sweet
exactly
thing, right? I love that.
And yes, we are.
I'll let you do that because you know what time and what day.
Oh,
If you
yes,
want
we
to
are
read
going
that
to
one.
be on Guiding Echoes with Nicole Antoinette next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. So check her out. You're going
7
to find her
p.m.
right on
Eastern?
this network.
7. Why do I have 6? Okay, I'm glad you told me. 7.
Well, it's next Tuesday. Yeah. Nicole, correct me if I'm wrong.
Nicole,
Correct
7,
me if
I
I'm
have
wrong,
6.
Nicole.
Okay, so
Yeah,
it's 7
exactly.
p.m.
Pretty sure it's next
Because
Tuesday.
Nicole's
Is it
on the
next
West
Tuesday?
Coast, right? Yes, it's
Yes,
this
that's
Tuesday
okay, good.
coming
Then
on the
Bubbles is
13th.
confusing me. Okay, good.
No, because I have 6 p.m. show Nicole Antoinette.
Well, it would be 6 Central and it would be 7 Eastern. So yeah.
I'm excited too.
Where can I find the Gray Zone? The Gray Zone Uncensored can be found on Saturday night. Well, right now it'll be next Saturday, actually. This Saturday,
7
not
p.m.
next.
Eastern. Okay,
It's going
thank
to
you.
be, yeah, it's going to be in a couple weeks and a week and a half. Because right now it's every other Saturday until probably the end of October because we're so swamped, Joe and I. So it's with myself and Joe Montaldo. And it's not a show that has guests. It is strictly information, and we talk about some of the most unbelievable things. And
Yeah.
that's where you'll see a lot of knowledge come out
I've learned
because
a
a lot
lot
of
watching
research.
that.
20 to 25 hours a week go into researching that show. How I do that every week to do a show normally is beyond me
Oh,
because
it's so hard on you. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah,
it
definitely
is.
7 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday. I'm
Okay.
excited too.
Check it
It
out.
actually works out better for me than 6 o'clock. So I'm glad that that
This
you're
is
watching us right now.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Ron Watson,
Okay.
I love this question. Are antiques such as paintings, furniture, etc., more likely to have a spirit attached to them when you buy one and take it into your house?
It can,
I love this
absolutely.
question.
It's
Yes.
a good question because people, again, we just came across this recently working with someone. I think anything has the potential of having an attachment, but older pieces that have been owned by people who love them or didn't love them, sometimes it's the people who make them
Yeah.
that has left an imprint of their energy on there. So yes, I've had pieces that have had attachments, and the good news is I know some people take them and will put them under glass and keep them, but you really can remove you can remove that energy and make it not haunted. How about that? So
Hi, Mama. She's here. Mama's here.
so here we go.
Oh, do you think it's harder to clear land or a house?
Not for us. We can
It's the
clear
same.
just about anything. Yeah.
It's the same thing.
I'll tell
It's
you,
energy.
it is energy. When we were in myself and Melissa and Adriana, we were in the haunted forest in Romania.
That's spooky.
I'm just going to use this as an example because I'm like I said, I always say I'm pretty fearless or I'm just a meathead. So either way, it may or may not work well for me. However, we knew right off the bat that we had to do things differently because we were out of our element. You were outside. You are, and this is anywhere you investigate that's outside. You're not in a confined space. So that energy has a lot more free reign to work around you. We could feel things all around us, and it moved so quick you couldn't even really pinpoint it. Clearing something like that would be very, very difficult. Yet we have done clearings. I mean, I've done them even like years ago, the old-fashioned way, but again, confined space. It's easier if you're doing a property, which includes the house, which includes that property, that shared energy, not like would I go to, let's say, a battlefield and okay, here we go. It's a little bit harder. So a house is definitely, I would think, easier in that respect.
This is continuing on the book. I think I saw your message today. I've forwarded it to Michelle because I can't read all of that.
Email is always the best, though, Natalie. We don't really keep up much. You're just lucky that Amelia was.
I just happened to be there clearing stuff. Yeah, and I just happened to see it, but we don't use the message app. That's why there isn't a button for it.
Yes, exactly. But no, I definitely have the info. Sending contact info is always helpful. If you guys want to see something, just basically use the email, the outer realm contact@gmail.com. It's actually on the Facebook page. So you can go in and just click on it. It should take you to us. And at that point, if you have contact info or a website, always great to send it.
Oh, thank you for sending it.
Yeah, definitely. Because I study a lot of things on ancient knowledge, like big time, and would most certainly be interested. So if you have a website or something, feel free to pass that along.
Always interested in who you guys want on this show.
Exactly.
That's important to us. I'm just glad that I caught it.
Exactly.
So,
okay, I keep losing. Okay, there we go.
Altamira iron spikes put in the right spot can move energy lines and changing the lens energy.
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
Michelle put in the right spot can change the energy lines and change the lens energy. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yes, Natalie, please send over the information. We would be
thank you, Dad.
Be happy. We'll make it happen if we can, if he's willing. If he's willing, we're down.
If he's willing to be booked in January.
Yeah, we're booking pretty far in advance too. But we're one of the few shows I think that are willing, who do live shows that are willing to do pre-records to accommodate our friends overseas as well. So, Ron.
Oh, sorry. I saw Joanne's. Hi, Joanne. Ron says, I saw the forest in Romania with you, Michelle. It was called Hoia Baciu, and it was in the Paranormal Survivor series. There is a patch of grass where nothing grows. Possibly a UFO landed. So he watched your show. Did you message Ron? Was that you? Because today I happened to see them.
That was on. It appeared. Two versions of it appeared. One was on Haunted Case Files, and one was on. What was it? Haunted Hotels or something like that. It came in from two different aspects because the story did go on even after we left the forest. And there is a lot of UFO activity there. See, again, we've got a crossover between the two fields. They're very, very much connected. Residents of the area, because there are a lot of houses down below, actually catch lights over the mountain all the time. It's also said to be Romania's Bermuda Triangle. There are stories of a sheep herder who disappeared years and years and years and years ago now with all of his herd of sheep. There's a story of a 5-year-old girl who disappeared, and she was missing for 5 years and reappeared, still 5 years old. But this time she was just not there. She just wasn't with us. She totally, like, what happened to her?
Yeah, just a shell.
Yeah. So there's actually two circles also within Hoia Baciu. That's the main one that you're talking about that everybody sees. Yep. So we're going to do a really quick station ID before we continue on with everybody.
Yes, I am. Thank you. You are listening to The Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano, coming to you live on 105.3 FM from the gorgeous city of New Orleans. Tonight's guest is all of you. We're doing 'Tis the Season as we enter into the autumn and Spooktober.
Yep.
It's getting to be so much fun.
Love it. Love it.
Yes. Shout out and thank you to the amazing people at Folgers Coffee for fully sponsoring our show from day one. Thank you for your support and your continuing sponsorship. We absolutely love you. And if you've noticed from some of our commercials, so do our guests and our audience. A huge thank you for our intro and outro. to Dr. Snick, the sonic surgeon, Justin Snicker, award-winning composer and musician, and with a new award. Congratulations, Justin. You can find his music on Amazon and Bandcamp, and follow him on Facebook and Instagram. He is dropping clips of his new album just in time for Halloween. Stream or listen to our archives on the platform you normally use. Please remember to subscribe and like us too.
Please.
That's especially if you're on YouTube right now.
Pretty please. Yes.
Tamara's question. My question is, was there cryptic sightings as well in that forest? That's a good question.
That forest is really bizarre. There's Romania in general, obviously. I'll split this in half if I can. Romania is obviously very big for werewolf sightings, wolf people. If you go to a place called Brasov, there's a tale or a legend that says on a full moon, every full moon, there are werewolves that will come down from the mountains and they will basically come into the courtyard. It's believed that there are sightings also within Hoia Baciu.
Yeah.
If you consider the fact that there's believed to be a portal at Hoia Baciu, then you will think that anything can come through it. We found out it was under no-fly zone. We found out that there's some crazy droning thing that goes on with it. But what's weird about it is there's believed not to be really any animals. I'm sure once you get away from the circle further in, they have, bears and wolves and things like that. But when we were there and we really did an extensive search of the area, we couldn't even see a bird. We couldn't hear a bird. No little animals running around like squirrels or anything of that nature. Bugs. There were bugs. That's it. Bugs.
Ew.
And silence aside from this droning sound. It's eerily silent. It's just weird.
Oh, we're not in New Orleans, Ron. We air in New Orleans. We're actually in Canada.
Yeah.
Because you said, as you're in New Orleans, have you been to the cemetery where people are buried above the ground and has the grave of the Voodoo Queen? You need
Mary
to
Laveau?
go into our archives.
Mary
because-
Laveau. Yeah, we
Yeah.
did talk about it. And I think there's an archive on the Gray Zone where we specifically spoke about that.
And Utu.
Yeah,
Our show
exactly.
with Utu.
Exactly.
Yeah. He talks about it. Bradley, off to bed. Have a great night,
good
everyone.
night.
Good night. Michelle, I'll be chatting with you next week. Good night,
Happy
Bradley.
slumber,
You're
my
an hour
friend.
ahead, so you're 11:30.
Yeah.
That's a long day.
Happy slumber. Happy slumber. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely there's so much out there. It's so hard to keep up with everything. But I love the allure of this time of year. I love that people want to just dig their heels in and explore the unexplained and the supernatural, because it can be really wondrous. However, it can also be really dangerous for people who don't know what they're doing. I highly recommend for anyone who wants to go thrill seeking, just get on an organized event or tour, because you'll have the most fun. You'll have the most fun because there are people out there who will teach you. The organized things are great because you're in a confined area. There's so many amazing places throughout the world that offers ghost walks. I've done a few in different parts of the world. They're a lot of fun. But there's also areas where you can go and it's a confined building and they will talk to you about what's going on. And there are designated places you can go to. You'll be with experienced people. And I mean, I always say that's a great place to learn. You learn about the equipment. Some of these places even have equipment that they allow people to use. They have seasoned mediums on site to assist. They've got teams who investigate. I've had a lot of locations where I've been to where I was a designated person on site as an official representative of that location. So I always had my team on site for people who wanted to come and investigate. and they would be on hand to answer questions or take people through and things like that. So I think that you would be really, really, that would be your best bet.
Yeah, because if you're interested in climbing mountains, you're not going to start off with Everest.
No, that's for sure. No.
Yeah.
This
Tamara wants to know. Yep.
The Sterego. I've heard of this Steregoi. Yeah, there are a very healthy belief in vampires still to this day in Romania.
That's cool.
And again, let's explore that. All of these beings like vampires and werewolves. How do we know they're not extraterrestrial and just coming through portals? How do we know they weren't there first and they're just, it's easy to get lost in the Carpathians. Let me tell you, I've spent time in the Carpathians. They're just unbelievable. But when you are up there and you're looking around, you realize how vast they are. I love mountains and forests, and I've gone to some throughout different parts of the world. And you realize how dense they are. I'm sure here, Northern Ontario, again, nowhere near as obviously as old as these forests. So,
yeah.
Here, I mean, out west, I'd love to go to BC with, the big redwoods and things like that. It would be a lot different. But my goodness,
we didn't have much of a civilization. That's what you need for that energy to be there. Ron says I'm too old for going up a mountain.
I'm feeling you right now too, Ron. I'm feeling you.
Me too.
Okay.
Natalie says, what part, if any, does lucid dreaming have in the paranormal world? Everything. It has
do you want to get that one?
To do with it. No, go ahead. It has everything to do with it.
Lucid dreaming. I loved lucid dreaming. I used to be able to lucid dream. I could control my dreams. I could fast forward. I could go in reverse. I could go to bed every night and say, I want to continue from this part, and then just do it and just keep dreaming. And some people associate that a little bit with maybe sleep paralysis as well. But how does it have to do with the paranormal and its manifestation? I truly believe it's another form of manifestation. Somewhere along the line, I stopped being able to lucid dream. I had children, and I was like, I could never do it again, and I still can't do it.
You were being protected not to leave your body. I can still do it to some degree.
On set to move on.
Yeah. But my biggest thing when I go to bed is I give a list of what I am not willing to dream about.
That's
I don't really want good. Yeah. I say I want nothing to do with this, and that. And during the day, I will put it out there.
Right.
Verbally, out loud. I will say, I am not dreaming this tonight. Right. Do you understand me? And that's the conversation I have with myself. But I find that I don't have those stupid dreams anymore and I'm going to put it out there right now. I don't want to dream about myself having to go to the bathroom and I'm naked at school. So I'm putting it out there right now, guys. Like, I am not having that damn dream. But I put that out there, and I taught my daughter to do that so she wouldn't have nightmares. But anyways,
it can lead, to different things.
Yeah.
This one's for you, because no, I have not done automatic writing. Not interested.
Wish I never did. Ron Watson, have you tried scrying or automatic writing? Cindy Kaza does automatic writing on Holzer. Yeah, she does. I have done it, and I've lost time. So it's really scary. I think the only way I would do it again is if Michelle was with me. I honestly believe that.
Because the way you do it, there's two different kinds, right?
That's, yeah.
Yours is like a form of channeling.
That's why I'm out of it. Yeah. Where she's aware when she's doing it.
Yeah, she's an aware.
I'm not.
Writer. Yeah.
I've lost time several times. Thanks, Tamara. Yeah, it is scary. I've lost time and I made the mistake of doing it the last time for someone whose father had passed away just that same week.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh, it's okay. I'm around friends. And that was just not a smart move for me. It really takes a lot out of you. You're opening a door that you don't know how to close it, because you're basically, it's almost like you're unconscious, but you're writing. You're not really there when you're channeling. And it's not that different from television where you see the medium and something steps in and then she comes to, or he comes to and says, what happened?
Mm-hmm.
That's me. I was alert hours later and found papers all over my office, like right here where I'm sitting right now, behind me, all over that desk, all over the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And I lost over 4 hours. That is a big deal.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you shouldn't do that alone. I mean, if you're seasoned, you shouldn't at all. But yeah.
No, it was crazy. And I still have those papers. I still have that.
You should see what's on them.
I know what's on them because I did it for the person who actually wrote the original Rock Around the Clock song. The original, not who they sold it to.
Right.
But I do know what's on there. But it wasn't the right thing to do. It was wrong.
Right.
But I didn't even know it was happening.
Right?
I didn't know it was happening. I didn't try to. I
happened.
saw on TV.
It goes to show you grounding yourself. You don't get those step-ins.
Wasn't grounding at the time. Nope.
Yeah.
Didn't even know about
live
it.
And learn, right?
Didn't even know about grounding.
Yeah.
No. Wayne says, bad idea. The universe only understands a positive representation. So when you say, I don't want to dream about trucks, the universe hears, I want to dream about trucks. Be specific and positive. Yeah, mine works though. I say I don't want to dream about being naked at school, and it works. Take away in words like do not exist in the realm of the universe.
Right.
Yeah. I'd say I'm YouTube, not having.
But Polly says, hey.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Natalie says, I have lived with depression my whole life after my teen years and suffered from very bad lucid dreaming, stuck in a place for what seemed like weeks. Whenever I was on an antidepressant too long. Yeah, I feel you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes it really hard. Dreams get funky because they're not always what you think. You can interpret them, and people will say, well, if it's this, for example, it means this. Well, if you're dreaming of death, it usually means the end of a situation and the birth of something new. It doesn't mean death physically at all. If you dream of spiders, for example, one of the things that it's meant, and I've seen this actually happen first time. Spiders are pretty scary, and I witnessed somebody who's going, "Oh my God, spiders!" And it turned out he came into an inheritance because it means that you're coming into money, and he came into an inheritance with the loss of a loved one. So there, that jive. I mean, and it happened relatively quick, like within a couple of weeks, also. So you almost have to take the entire dream and split it up into pieces and get every aspect of it, interpret it, and put your message together. There are also things like visions or downloads. That's completely different than just a dream. Sometimes dreams don't make any darn sense at all. So, but when you interpret it entirely, then all of a sudden it makes sense. Whereas downloads or visions, it comes straight up and it makes sense. You are walking through and living through the whole thing. There's nothing really obscure about it.
My niece Samantha wrote something. Sam, that almost sounds like sleep paralysis. I have a lot of dreams where I'm trying to yell, but nothing comes out, just pressure against my chest.
What I wrote about. Okay, I'm going to put this right here. Bubbles.
Yeah, we have to scroll up for hers.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
I'm going to scroll up. Hold on. It's hard because we have 8 different chat rooms coming through right now. So we're just trying to get to everybody. 1 second. Where are we?
It's way up there.
Oh, up here. Oh, here. This one?
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
Hey, Joanne, I bought a piece of art that someone had created that has beautiful stones on it, but I'm worried it has something attached. Since I got it in a box from the artist, I have started getting bruises that look like finger marks and a bad mark on my leg that looks like someone gave me a rubbing type bruise. Can I get that energy gone? You need to email us.
Yep.
You need to email us because we need to know where it's coming from. Yeah.
Yes.
And is it just paranormal? Yeah.
We could have a look and see. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But email us for sure, Joanne.
My question is, are downloads happening more often? I think Michelle should answer that.
I get quite a few, actually. Yeah. Yes. I do believe they are happening more often because people are more open now. And I think once you've had them and acknowledged them, they start coming more frequently. It could be that they've always been there, but you just don't acknowledge it. So you can't, it's hard. Some people can't separate. They don't know a dream from a vision to a download. Like they don't know. I wouldn't have known except for the fact that I woke up, at one point and I felt hands on my head, just on my head. And then I just started researching the next day. Next thing you know, I'm off. I'm just, all this other stuff starts coming up on the computer. I'm like, okay, I went off into a whole other direction. Sometimes we're working and it can happen really quick. And I realize, okay, it's obviously something that was given to me at some point that was not relevant until this moment. And she'll say, okay, blah, blah, blah. And I'll go, blah, 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 blah. It's like, what? I don't know. Let's do it. Just do it and see what happens. And it works. So I do believe that we have to be open, aware, start to recognize them, and you realize you have a lot more than you thought.
Natalie says, but how do I know what type of method is best? This is for, I believe, lucid dreaming. Just by experimenting, I go back to the same place, the same night, and multiple nights. I wake up with no control in the dream, but can control my actions. That almost sounds like reoccurring dreams, because you can actually, sometimes you can control your actions in recurring dreams because you've been there before. So you go, oh, I'm going to go this way this time.
Yeah, she had this one just before this comment. Here.
Oh, sorry. I'm now taking TMS and the lucid dreams are back, and I'm trying to figure out how to deal with them. I was taught how to control them at one point from someone who learned it from a Hawaiian kahuna. I don't know what TMS is.
Again, that's a really hard one. Have you thought about hypnosis?
Yeah, because medications can amplify what you're already going through. The side effects on any, I don't know what TMS, are you saying TMS or THC? I don't know what TMS is, but I would look into, first knock off tick off what is probable, like side effects and things like that, and then come down to what that is. But I agree with Michelle, hypnosis might be something.
I'm thinking that might be, I can control my own dreams. I think you can, if you want to dream about something positive, have positive thoughts before you go to sleep. And if it's going in a direction you don't like, just try to wake yourself up from it. And I would get up and I would just walk around for a minute, go to the bathroom, whatever, get a glass of water, and just think of something different. I could start off my lucid dreaming by what I think about.
Magnetic stimulations. Oh.
Yeah.
So that's making it worse.
Yeah. So I
don't have an answer for that.
Yeah.
Just
put something in your head and keep putting it there. If you want to dream about, a trip in the mountains, keep thinking, I'm going to have a trip in the mountains. I'm going to have a trip in the mountains. I'm going to have a trip in the mountains.
It's like a manifestation, right?
Exactly.
Have it everywhere. Have pictures of it. Have everything.
Exactly.
Wayne says, can you explain the thoughts pertaining to the apocalyptic dreaming for those who may be having them and don't quite understand what they mean? Please and thank you. Asking for a friend?
Yeah. Apocalyptic dreams allegedly is something common among contactees and abductees of ET. So that just seems to be the only explanation I have. I really didn't think much about apocalyptic dreams. I've had a few myself. And after having Joe on the show, Joe owns ICAR, which is basically the biggest organization of abductees and contactees probably in the world. There's probably about between 65 and 70,000 members. And a lot of them have reported having apocalyptic dreams. Sometimes it's things like, they could see red sand and fire and Some people believe that maybe people were having memories of being on Mars, for example, red sand, everything going, array, and people just leaving the planet and coming here, perhaps. There's a lot of stuff that's attributed. People having the same kind of apocalyptic dreams.
Tamara
right?
included.
Sure,
well, that explains it. Thank you.
Here you go, Wayne. She has the same thing.
Yeah.
What most of hers are about.
There you go. That's why I said, when I saw Natalie's comment, is that would explain why she can't control her dreams.
That would, because that's not a lucid dream. You may want to start looking into other things. Start looking for synchronicities. Just start looking at, I'm having these dreams. Have I ever seen a UFO? How do I have missing time? Have I ever had certain characteristics of an extraterrestrial coming into my space, like a bright light coming through your house? Or sometimes it's just a giant orb that'll come in, or waking up with hands on your head, for instance, or things like that.
I heard blue light, green orbs.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that. Even on the History Channel on YouTube, if you go into the Ancient Aliens part, you'll find a lot of video clips of experts talking about that as well. Yeah. I caught a lot of that today when I was on there.
There you go.
Yeah.
The information is out there, and you'll start seeing a lot of similarities. Even when you think about sleep paralysis, for example, there's a logical explanation, there's a paranormal explanation, and there's an extraterrestrial explanation. And it is really wicked. I remember when we did a gray zone, we discussed it. Let me pull up this clip, because I found this was very interesting, and I was wondering if we would come to it tonight. Sleep paralysis. Okay, I'll just read this off. Alien abductions, which share similarities to sleep paralysis. What I found interesting was there was a Canadian physicist named Jean-Christophe Terrillon. He was doing research in Japan, and he reported the following. Now, this guy's a scientist, okay? And he did not believe in evil spirits at all. Yet he was terrified. Once a week, he sensed a threatening presence, something very evil, beside his bed, and he felt completely paralyzed. His ears rang. The weight would press down on his chest. He struggled to breathe. He had intense pressure in his head, as it felt like it was going to explode. Sometimes he found himself transported upward and looking down at his body, even though at times he felt like he was hurled through a long tunnel. Other abductees claimed unable to move, buzzing sounds. Oh my God, I get it all the time. Difficulty breathing, pressure on the chest, flashing lights, feeling of floating around the room, and seeing figures. Now, these are just like a few things, but it sounds like the same thing paranormal people experience. But the fact that this scientist, who's a non-believer, experienced these things, we have to ask ourselves, which is it?
Yeah.
Is it like, the pressure on the chest? That's the Hag syndrome. That's, Hag sitting on the chest. That's been like something that's gone on for like centuries. People have talked about that. That's the paranormal aspect. But yet, I just read to you the ET part of it. But there's actual real stuff, which we don't have time to get into tonight. But it's all logical stuff as well, scientifically explained. But yet, here's this logical scientist, physicist who's like, I'm not a believer, but I was up, I floated, things were there, something isn't right.
Yeah, stress will cause it too, though. If you have stress in your life, like Samantha saying, my niece said that she has that pressure on her chest in the dream.
Yeah.
But is that pressure against my chest? Thank you. But Sammy, is that pressure that you're waking up to?
There it goes right here.
And we'll talk about it this weekend.
You're in trouble, Samantha.
No, she's not in trouble. She's my niece, so it'll be a lot easier if we do this on the phone.
Yeah. So this is what she's saying.
Yeah. Yeah, she says, I have a lot of dreams where nothing comes out. She's screaming, but nothing comes out. Sometimes that's stress. That's why I need to know, are you waking up having pressure on your chest? No, I feel it before I wake up. So it's in your dream.
Right.
Okay. We'll talk this weekend. I'll text you and then we'll talk.
There we go. We go. So this was like a really informative show. You guys were really awesome. We are a few minutes before the top of the hour and we're pretty much right there already. I love when we're able to do these roundtable discussions with everybody in chat. And we get one more up before we sign down here.
Yeah, Natalie says, mine are extremely detailed down to the social interactions. Problem is, I have a father who does not name it as such had predictive dreaming, remote viewing, and cursing people. Wow.
That's heavy. That's heavy.
A mouthful.
Well, thank you.
Thank you,
Glad you
Doreen.
guys all had a good time.
Thank you, Tamara. Oh, we can't have fun without you guys. Thank you, Joanne. It's been a while since I've seen you.
Let me just put this in here. Hold on.
There's Kat. Aw. Kat says, you are both so incredibly knowledgeable. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge. Good night. And thank you. Many blessings to you both. Good night, everyone. Many blessings to you, Kat. Good night, Sammy. Love you.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Good night, guys. Here we go. So signing off.
Miss you too, Joe.
We're already there. But thank you guys. It's almost like you guys were the guests tonight. So this was awesome. So big thank you to all of you in chat. A big thank you to Folgers Coffee, who sponsored the show. Big thank you to Dr. Snick, who is the sponsor of with our voice or his voice for our intro, our outro. Thank you. Again, I posted the email, theouterrealmcontact@gmail.com. This is where you can actually contact us. With respects to this TV series that I was making mention of, please, if you guys have been someone that either lives overseas, so Europe, anywhere not North America, or whether you have vacationed somewhere overseas and came home back to North America, if something came back with you, or if you're living over there and you're living with something, the producers are looking for people. They want to know what you went through. They want to know what led you to bring in someone for assistance. Did it work? They really want to get into the core of what everyone went through. So if that's pretty much the gist of it. So if you think you fall under one of those criteria, then we want to hear from you. We want to know what your thoughts are. So we have to leave that with you guys. And again, email at theouterrealmcontact@gmail.com. You have all the information right there in the stream. Now, next week, we are bringing on Richard Stanley. You guys are going to love Richard Stanley. He's going to be talking about his upcoming book all the way from the south of France called The Last Crusade, The Quest for SS, I'm going to hope I don't pulverize this word, for SS Obersturmführer Otto Wilhelm Rahn. You guys aren't going to want to miss this. This is going to be amazing. And he's probably the only guy who has done this. So it's really going to be amazing. Thursday night, also really amazing. Samuel Chong is going to be joining us, and he's going to be discussing, I know I'm going to pulverize this one, the Thauba or Thauba.
I'm going to have fun with the intros. Thank you.
Prophecy, which is also going to be mind-blowing, to say the least, because this is going to delve into ancient stuff, prophetic stuff of ETs and ghosts and so much more. So this is going to be like fabulous. It's going to be two really amazing shows. Tomorrow night, chime into the Church of Mavis, which is, I believe, on just before the Centralist. Centralist is 10 to midnight, and I believe Church of Mavis is 8 until 10. So two great shows. So please, again, whatever platform you're on, show us some love, subscribe, and, we'll show it right back to you and do some more Q&As. How about that? Anyway, good night. Have a fantastic weekend. Goodbye, everyone. And thank you, Joanne. We really appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe.